Hello everyone. I decided I was going to do a video to explain to you the assignment so I can get rid of any misunderstanding that we might have. So this is assignment number 2, and this is not a lab. This is an assignment. I would like for you guys to take a look at the weights for the assignments versus a lab. And this is worth 20 points, um, will be graded out of 20, and you will see the weight of this assignment when it is graded, how much it's going to contribute um, to the overall grade. Okay, now the submission must include the source code, which is .py, and the screenshot. One of them is not going to suffice. Both of them will suffice. Anyone who submits code without the source code will receive a 0. Anyone who's going to submit the work without screenshots will immediately be penalized from -5. If you earn 20 and you don't give me screenshots and everything is good and I run this on my own, you will be getting 15 as a result. And no late submissions, please. Um, Only those who are permitted and have exceptional circumstances will be accommodated. Anyone else in the class will be treated the same. Okay, now I'm asking you to create an empty list, and we saw how to do this, and we called it list of numbers, and we are going to define a function that doesn't take any input, okay, and is going to return the empty list. So you basically going to say define create empty list, and this is going to be empty here, nothing is going to be inside here, and this function is going to return the empty list. That's all there is. You get 2 points for doing this. Okay, next one. This is here what we need is to accept input to populate a list with a number with numbers of type int. So the list is gonna be populated by numbers. So make sure when you use this input, you convert them into ints. Okay, not leave them as symbols. And as soon as you accept an input, you immediately add it to the list. So you accept one input at a time, and then you add it to the list. You're going to be doing this using a function called add element. So whatever you're going to be doing here from the input, you're going to be passing it here. And this guy, add element, is going to be a function that is going to take the input here and is going to populate that list, and this add element should be returning the list with the number added. Okay, so this function is going to have a return statement. You might not want to pass this thing here, pass the number that is coming from the input, and call this input function inside this add element. If I may demonstrate, so if you say define add element like that, and here you're gonna say give me the input, and this is gonna be the num, okay, and this is the number that you're going to be using to populate the list. So but the function, what does the function take? The function takes a number that you've entered from the input. You don't have to do that anymore, so let me remove that. The function is not gonna take this number. Is gonna only take a list. This is the empty list, okay, and this number will be populating this list here, and this function will return that list. So this function is going to return that list, which is no longer going to be empty after you add. So you're gonna be here doing some code. I'm not gonna give you that code. You will have to figure this out yourself. Here you're gonna say add the num to the empty list, and then you're gonna be returning that. Okay, this is what I want to show you here. Okay, 3 points here. So if you get those two guys, you got 5 points already. That's 25%. Okay, great. Now what? Now we have to repeat these 2 steps so we can add 2 more items. So this function here is essentially going to be called twice. to receive two more numbers to populate. So your list is going to have three numbers total. That's all there is. A list of three numbers that you're going to be entering from the keyboard. All right. So you get 2 points for doing this. This is just going to be simply calling this add function, which you've already done here. You're just going to call it once, twice, and three times. Once here and two times here. Okay. Now what's next? Now I want you to take that list and I want you to print it. I want you to define a function called dump list. That's a very common name for when people want to print the content of something. So the function is going to take that list that we created here, and that's going to be the input for the function, and the function is not going to return anything. It's only going to be printing the input of the list of those three numbers. And here is basically saying do the printing using a for loop that does not use an index. You should not use an index. That's a not. Okay, please do not use an index here. You know how to do that. I remember today when we talked about the two different functions, one of them is similar to the automatic car and the other one is similar to the manual transmission car. This is the automatic car. This is the automatic for loop that we demonstrated today in class. You do this, you get 2 points. Very simple. Now there is an interesting one that I want you to do. Remember in the lab, you created a function called find the minimum. And this function took a list of three numbers, and I told you not to use a list. I told you not to use a for loop to do this. I basically asked you to index these numbers and check if the number in the first position less than the number in the second position, and you repeated all of this, and you had a baseline of putting the first element in the list as minimum. Here you're going to be doing the exact same thing, except you're going to be using a for loop. Okay, you're going to be using a for loop with an index. Okay, that's something that we covered today in class, and you're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to figure this out, how to write a list, how to write a for loop with an index. And then you're going to be implementing this function a little bit differently, but the same idea. The same idea that you've done from the lab is the same idea that you're going to be using here. But here you're going to be using a for loop with an index. And this function is essentially going to take that list as an input, and it's going to return the minimum of the elements that you entered here in the list. Okay, really simple. Really, you've done this already in the lab. You don't have anything to worry about. You can always ask me questions too, if none of this is clear. This one here, we have not covered it yet in class. I'm gonna ask you to continue to input numbers. Here I know that I already determined in advance that I'm gonna be getting three numbers. So I call this input function 3 times. But what if I want to play a game and I'm guessing the number of trials, and this number of trials could be like 5 times, or could be 2 times, or could be 17 times. I don't know. So I don't know in advance how many times I have to enter. And I'm going to be showing you in class how we do this. Now, today, we covered something called the main function where we grabbed all the loose code that was in the previous files in the previous work that we've done. I didn't show you how to do that previously, but now you know that we should not have any loose code in our files. We just put it in the main function here. So create a function, call it main, and then anything you need to do, any testing, any programming that we've done in a loose file without having a function is going to go here. All the function calls are going to be called here. And you're going to be testing these functions. So here you get a point because this is just easy, very, very easy. But now all the tests that you're going to have to be doing, you're going to have to, it says how many test cases. At least 3 different meaningful cases for all the functions that you've been asked, and there's 4 points for this. This is it. This is what I wanted to explain to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But this is it. Your instructions are right here, and I already explained. If there's not any, if there's anything that is unclear, please let me know. Here's what I also want you to do. When you submit your solutions, I want you to copy these guys in your file, and then you do the solution here. So suppose that this is my empty list, okay, and I'm gonna make it empty like that. This is the code of the function. So I'm gonna define a function here called creating my empty list like that, and this is my empty list, and I am going to return. And this is not following this name here. This one is called create empty list. I'm just demonstrating to you as another function, but you need to write a function with this name, this specific name. But I'm showing you that I need these instructions above your code. Anyone who is not gonna do this, let me make sure. Okay, no comment. That is gonna be -2 points. So I am asking you, please leave this comment here on top of your code. Make your code like building blocks like that. So here you're gonna be writing another function. What is the function here called? The functions, you're gonna be defining another function, define like that, and then your function is gonna be doing something, and you're gonna be returning something like that. All your functions should leave these guys intact. If you have to type them, I don't care. It's great. But make sure you type them correctly. And if you can copy and paste them, I might be able to also give you the text as well. You can just put it in a plain text file. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be giving you these guys in a plain text file, so you can basically make sure you keep them in your code. Your code must have these things. The code must have all these comments. Your code must have them above. Okay, and I'm gonna clean this one here. Now what I wrote here in the code, make sure that you follow the instructions. Whatever I've written here, I removed because it might not be exactly what the instructions are saying. I'm just demonstrating to you how we should be doing this. Okay, if there's any error in any of these things, any of these instructions, or any typos, please feel free to point them out to me as soon as possible. And all the best. Thank you so much.